today in York, a 20-year-old Egyptian man pled guilty to a serious assault on a young female. Now, this is despite arriving in the country illegally in a small boat in 2022 and failing to achieve asylum status. Technically, shouldn't have been here. Eid Anwar Fatih Najar, who's 20-year-old Egyptian national, was involved in this high-profile assault case in York. He entered the country illegally with a small boat in 2022, but his application was ultimately rejected. He entered the country illegally in 2022, and the case has drawn significant attention due to his migration status, as you can imagine. I saw the case on social media. Now, prior predatory behaviour and the vulnerability of the victim amplified debates around the asylum process and public safety in general, because often the two go hand in hand. Now, the background, Najar was from Egypt and arrived in the UK as part of a wave of small boats at that time across the Channel. And despite his failed asylum claim, he was still residing in York at the time of the offence with no immediate deportation plans. And this was noted early in the court proceedings. Court documents and witness statements reveal he had a reputation at local nightclub venues for targeting vulnerable, lone women. Doorman at the Voodoo Lounge nightclub specifically described him as an ex-predator, having observed him approaching intoxicated women on multiple prior occasions. The pattern was highlighted by prosecutors as evidence of deliberate intent in selecting victims. The assault took place in the early hours during a busy pub crawl in York's town centre. The victim, a young woman who'd become separated from her friends, was heavily intoxicated, completely out of it, as quoted in the trial, swaying, stumbling and bumping into people. While inside the Voodoo Lounge in Swinegate, CCTV footage captured her vulnerability, showing her struggling to stay upright. Now, Najar, who'd been at the club just a few minutes, quickly identified her as an easy target. He grabbed her tightly by the arm, ignoring her attempts to push him away, and hailed a taxi. Now, a doorman intervened, but warning him to leave her alone due to her intoxicated state, but something else happened that distracted him to another incident, and that allowed Najar to frog march her out the club in the opposite direction from her intended path. He led her to a nearby alleyway where a R Romeo Alpha Papa echoed her. The reasons I don't say some words on YouTube. The exact duration isn't specified, but the attack was forced, leaving her with bruising in her right arm and thigh. Now, after the assault, the victim was left partially undressed, without her trousers, pants, or initially her handbag, and wandered confused and distressed through the historic Shambles Marketplace area. She retrieved her undamaged trousers and bag, because her phone was in it, from the alley, but couldn't find her pants. Two concerned brothers spotted her half naked and disorientated, unable to recall her door key code or answer basic questions. They escorted her home, flagged down police, where she expressed fear and confusion, stating that she'd had a encounter, but had no memory of consenting to it with a stranger. Police launched an immediate CCTV trawl, which traced Najar's movements and led to his rapid identification. Najar was arrested at his York residence. During questioning, he provided a false name before confirming his identity. He claimed the encounter was consensual, asserting the victim was sober and had removed her own clothing. But he offered no comment when confronted with contradictory CCTV evidence. An Egyptian Arabic interpreter assisted during interviews. A second man, Mohammed Ibrahim Abuz, 25, from Bradford, was initially arrested and charged with the Romeo Alpha Papa Echo in connection to the incident, but was later cleared when prosecutors dropped the charge against him, citing insignificant evidence. The trial had been scheduled to start on November the 3rd at York Crown Court, but Najar's guilty plea preempted that. Now, the court proceedings and sentencing on October the 31st at York Crown Court, he pled guilty to both the Romeo Alpha Papa Echo and a probation report and full sentencing on December the 19th, 2025. The judge stated prison is inevitable and just a question of how long, with expectations of several years behind bars given the severity. Now, the victim has limited recollection of events before or after the assault, which has exuberated her trauma. She described feeling frightened by the unexplained encounter and lack of consent. No long-term impact statements were detailed in reports, but the case underscores vulnerabilities in nightclub settings for intoxicated individuals. The story has fueled online and media discussions on illegal migration, with outlets framing it as emblematic of failures in asylum, vetting and deportation. The Home Office had been approached by comment on his status, but hasn't publicly responded to the coverage. So this one's just bonkers. You know, the process we have once somebody fails an asylum application is evidently flawed. The fact that this guy's still in the country despite having failed asylum inevitably and unfortunately has led to this crime and indeed victim. Now, the fact that we've got Dortmund in the nightclub saying that this behaviour had been repeated, I hope that he only has one victim, although that could be false. But it's just shocking. Yeah, it's every day. Every single day there's somebody else. It's either waiting for an asylum claim, committing crimes, or ones like this. Failed asylum. No right to remain in the country. Yeah, still here. Put this young lady through this horrific ordeal. And I don't know how long the actual process takes, and I suppose there's that many ways of appealing that it could be quite a long process. But it shouldn't be 3 years. And when you've not been given asylum and you've not had any victories at appeal, you don't have any right to remain here, then we must get more strict and more stringent on how we deal with people in those situations. Because I'm sick of hearing about victims and another one and another one and another one. And all these victims with a tighter process, even forgetting about, just stop the boats coming in. But even with a tighter process while they're here, so many of these victims would never have been victims. And that is frightening and disgusting. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up. Put your comments below and hit the share if you want others to see it. That will certainly help. If you've not already done so, just check you're subscribed, even if you think you are. And if you've not, please give me a subscription. But after all that, have a great day. Cheery bye now. Behind me is Glasgow Sheriff Court, one of Europe's busiest courts. And because of that fact, we'll see every week several members of the public and podcasters, etc., facing trials in here for a number of things. However, an increasing number are for posts on social media, videos on YouTube, etc., etc., etc. And for that reason and that reason alone, I believe it would make sense for everybody who does podcasts as a minimum to join the Free Speech Union, because they will help protect you when the law turns on you. It doesn't give you carte blanche to say what you want as a member, but it does give you the protection to help you when the law goes wrong. This is not now only something that should be considered by podcasters, because we are seeing more and more people each day arrested. Normal people who don't even see themselves as civilian journalists, arrested for posts on social media. So it makes sense to join the Free Speech Union, because we live in this country in 2025.